Well, hello, and thanks for watching another episode of ARFCOM News, your twice-weekly dose of the finest 2A propaganda.
Well, hello, internet friends. Spicy Editor Dude here. So you may have heard that the AFT got their brace rules slapped down in the Mock versus Garland CE. The one-page ruling out of North Texas is pretty plain and simple. The Fed boys exceeded their authority and made up a bullshit rule. I know we're all surprised by that. So this isn't legal advice, and the ATF doesn't follow the rules anyway, so of course they can appeal it. Either way, to answer your question of can I start posting IG pics for Internet Cloud again? Well, I guess the answer is maybe. Either way, Andrew's going to have plenty to say about it on our next episode, but thank you for all of you that were going to comment on this regardless of whether I did this silliness or not. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. Let's do this. Thanks for watching.
If I had a nickel for every time some vagrant got in trouble for a flare gun last week, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice in a week. The first time, cops in Wallingford, Connecticut responded to an unwanted person call. It's so sad. And when they got there, they say the dude was trying to change prices on merchandise and he bit one of them when they arrested him. They found a, quote, modified flare gun capable of firing shards of glass and shrapnel on him. I will bet you a beer it was just a regular flare gun with broken glass jammed in the barrel, and I'd give it even odds that it would just blow up when he fired it. The second incident was even spicier. Athens, Tennessee police responded for 2 bums fighting, and one of them fired a flare gun at the other, burning her chest and causing injuries to her face from shrapnel again. The shooter claimed the other bum threatened him with a knife. During their investigation, they found an actual handgun on him, and they arrested him for that because you will be shocked to find out he is a prohibited possessor. He was also charged with aggravated assault and reckless endangerment because police found no evidence to support his claim the woman he shot had actually threatened him with a knife as he claimed. In case you were wondering, folks, a flare gun will do next to nothing to stop an attacker. But it would be impossible for us to produce quality 2A propaganda without sponsors, so let's pay some bills. Hey party people, Franklin Armory's binary firing system gives you double the pleasure for triple the fun. With Franklin's patented binary trigger, you get 2 shots with your semi-automatic cycle instead of just 1. It's available for ARs, AKs, and lots of other popular rifles and PCCs. They even have models for Glocks. Want reduced split times and tighter groups? With a Franklin Armory binary firing system, you can improve these important shooting metrics and more. Visit franklinarmory.com and gain the selectable option to fire on both the pull and release trigger functions of your semi-automatic firearm today. And by tnvc.com, the new Mars LC 2000 meter laser rangefinder is in stock and ready to ship. It's compact and packed with features including a built-in ballistic computer, Bluetooth, and a red aiming laser, as well as an IR ranging laser which cannot be detected by most night vision devices. And by Hydra. The Mark 15 Hydra is the most versatile black rifle platform the industry has ever seen. The most you will ever need to convert calibers is a barrel, a bolt, and a magazine well. I'm sure you've heard by now that Hunter Biden was convicted for lying on a 4473 and possession of a firearm by a person who is an unlawful user of a controlled substance. I've seen lots of self-proclaimed gun rights advocates cheering for his conviction over the past week, and I'll admit feeling a little petty satisfaction in it myself. But let's not forget, the laws he was convicted of breaking are unconstitutional. Yes, there is indeed a certain poetry in a gun control monger's son getting himself hemmed up by the very laws his old man created. And I'll also agree that so long as the law exists, it must be administered equally. But the law shouldn't exist. The questions on a 4473 are in blatant disregard to our right not to incriminate ourselves, and the form itself constitutes a de facto registry. Moreover, if you think a crack addict shouldn't have a gun, that's fair, but he needs to be locked up. And so long as any adult is free to walk around with access to pool chemicals and stabby things in motor vehicles, we really need to acknowledge he does have access to guns, whether legally or not, whether we like it or not. So we may as well recognize his right to bear arms as long as he's not locked up. So I guess I'm glad Hunter got convicted, but I hope he wins on appeal. In fact, if his lawyers appeal his conviction on Second Amendment grounds, I will donate to his legal fund. Free Hunter Biden. I mean, realistically, I don't think he will appeal. I think his dad will just bail him out. The Crypt Keeper did clearly say he would not pardon his son.
Will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
But he didn't use that strong no malarkey tone that lets you know he means business. He also didn't rule out commuting the sentence either. Hunter might not get prison time. Even if he does, it could be months before a sentencing hearing. Uncle Sniffy could commute his sentence on November 6th, win or lose, and not have a thing to worry about. For that matter, he could turn around and pardon him despite what he promised. Being such a good son, I'm sure Hunter wouldn't mind doing a couple of months to help out dear old dad win the election. What do you think? What do you think they'll decide? I don't know. I guess it depends. President Poopy Pants is taking credit for the drop in violent crime over the last couple of years, but he's leaving out some pretty important points. Up until the mostly peaceful riots of 2020, violent crime had already been declining for decades, and it resumed this same downward trend after all that apocalypse plague nonsense blew over.
Go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and wait for all this to blow over.
And maybe he could still take some credit, but since Biden was sworn in, almost 12 million guns were sold. And according to an NSSF survey of gun shops, about 40% of their sales were to first-time gun buyers. And during the Biden regime's tenure, 14 states passed permitless carry bills, bringing the total to 29 states. The majority of states are now permitless carry, with most of the rest being shell issue, and only a handful of states still violating the right of the people to bear arms altogether. And the Biden regime suffered crushing loss after devastating defeat in the courts. The Bruen decision was particularly demoralizing to them. Oh, and by the way, Americans still own more guns than all the world's police and militaries put together, including our own. If you're not picking up what I'm laying down here, I'm saying gun rights have been winning hard. There are more guns out there and more people carrying them in more places more of the time. So if crime is declining, it is in spite of Sleepy Joe's efforts, not because of them. Last December, the control freaks introduced the Go Safe Act in the Senate, but it didn't really get anywhere. Now, the control freaks are going to have another go at it in the House. All gun control is a violation of the Second Amendment and offensive to human liberty. But this one is really bad. If you didn't catch it last time, Go Safe stands for Gas-Operated Semi-Automatic Firearms Exclusion.
Well, isn't that special?
The text of the bill bans practically any self-loading firearm that can accept a detachable magazine. The propaganda they distributed back when they pulled this the first time in the Senate not only contradicts the text of the bill, it contradicts itself. This flowchart says that if the firearm is semi-auto and is not gas-operated, it would not be regulated by this bill. But then it asks if your gas-operated firearm is a recoil-operated firearm. It's very confusing, but it seems to be focused only on gas-operated guns, just like the title indicates. Except the text of the bill then goes on to define a gas-operated firearm as also being blowback or recoil-operated. It bans basically all semi-autos that can take a magazine. Or at least the Senate's version of the text did. The House's version hasn't been released yet. What do you think? Will they soften the language to try to get it through the House? Does the Go Safe Act have any better chance than Sir Forgets-a-Lot has of keeping his pants clean? And now for your moment of Zen.
14.5. And that's the Allen Engineering M4, the true Gordon suppressor.
Hey friends, do you like pews and other pew-related things? Would you like to help us keep delivering you pure American pew-paganda at the low price of brain pity? We literally couldn't pay the bills without our sponsors, so do us a solid and get yourself something nice from them. You deserve it. I love you.